Hello and welcome to my channel. My hands probably look strange because I'm having to stand up to do this one. I'm excited because I have finally got all four cards for the court cards for the cups. So it's the first sort of little mini set of my deck that I've got together. So I thought I'd do it a little bit differently today. I was going to show you another deck like I normally do, but then it got really complicated and I want to keep things quite simple. So I'm just going to go through my depiction of these court cards. So we're in the cups, we are in the suit of emotions, intuition, relationships. So I'll talk about that. I think why court cards gets complicated, so I want to say this just from the outset, is it gets complicated because the court cards come from a tarot deck which was created at a time of a hierarchical, misogynistic society. And we hope that as a society now that we are moving away from those attitudes, hopefully. Or at least in tarot we aspire to be more inclusive and less rigid. And these energies of the court cards are in everyone. They're aspects of all of us. So, and that's regardless of our gender or our age. There are times in our life where we will be, more page, and times when we will be more the king. So I'll just say that on the outset. Now, I'll start with the King of Cups. I've tried to do it so you've got them all in, but I'm going to have to move it up. So let me just show you. So for the King of Cups, I chose, it was one of the first ones I did, I think. This is Man with a Child in His Eyes. King of Cups is someone, well, all the kings really, someone in a position of authority, experienced, but with that comes a certain detachment, and that can be good and bad. That emotional detachment can help us to make decisions, maybe be impartial, but there can be a little bit of a cold fish to deal with. And Man and Child with Eyes is someone that, she since said it was someone she had a crush on, wasn't it? And it was someone that she, was on a pedestal that maybe had charisma that represented something to her, but there was no kind of real relationship there. And I suppose, I'll link the different videos where I talk about the cards, but this could be someone who's a guru, say, or a mentor, someone in position of trust, and that also can be abused, of course. That trust can be, they can take advantage or use their power for their own ends. So that is the King of Cups. We are in, as I said, the sort of cup to deal with emotions. So that detachment from the king, I think, especially in this suit, can be quite a heavy sort of shadow side of that card. Right, we have the more recent one, the Queen of Cups. So the Queen definitely does not have that detachment that we just talked about. So they're still in a position of power, still in a position of authority and experience and seniority, but they are a lot more emotionally invested in what's going to happen. And we do think of this, we associate this with the archetype of the mother, because there is that idea of nurture. But of course, you do not have to be a woman or a mother to nurture. So it's that energy. And I felt the Mother Stands for Comfort was good at representing that idea of unconditional love and nurture that we get in the song, but also the shadow side. So the idea that, you get favourites, or you get manipulation, or you get controlling. Queen of Cups isn't very good at taking a step back. As I said, they are too emotionally invested in what is going to happen or occur. Right, so that's them. Right, how am I going to do this? I'll just move it momentarily up, I think. So this I had as the Page of Cups. The Page of Cups, I think, like the King, there is an element of detachment in the Page. And that detachment in the Page, though, is particularly beautiful. So whereas I said in the King of Cups, it can make them a little bit cold, in the Page, it's about curiosity. It's about reaching out. It's about exploration. I think of the Page as like a great listener. They might not be very reliable because they might change their mind, but they're exploring, they're fascinated. A childlike energy, which again isn't, reliant on our biological age, but a sense of using their intuition, their trust. It's a lovely, I think this is a particularly beautiful card, and particularly in this suit, with emotions where a certain softness and being in the present moment can be so valuable, I think, for this sort of, this Cups energy. So that is the Page. Right, so now we just have the Knight left. And before I talk about my song choice, I'll just quickly say how I see the Knight. It has changed a little bit, actually. So I've always associated the Knight with speed, rushing in. Maybe, especially with the Knight of Cups, an urge to rescue. We think of knights as associated with quests, don't we? And that sense of serving something higher than themselves, or they might well serve their egos. There is like a choice there. Since learning more about the Tree of Life in the Kabbalah, I love that the Tree of Life puts the Knight right in the centre, and with the sixes, and the sixes associated, they're beautiful cards, the sixes, and we think of the Lovers and stuff. But there's a real sense of busyness in that centre, speed. But when things work out well, that's associated with harmony. So that's the grace maybe of a dancer or a musician who's mastered what they can do and they surrender. So there's definitely an element of surrender in this Knight. And again, when we think of emotions, that surrender can be beautiful, but it also can be maybe lack boundaries as well. Right. So there's a balance. And I suppose also with that surrender, I can say that there's a fear as well, isn't there? There is a fear, which I'm giving a clue now what song choice I've chosen. There is a fear about surrendering to love. So I think, before I turn the card over, I'm going to say, I think the Kate Bush song choice is brilliant for this card, even though I say so myself. But the video for the song doesn't really match this Knight of Cups energy. And I don't know what you'll think about the photo that I've chosen. I really like it, but see what you think. So this is Hounds of Love. And this photo is from that John Carter Bush book, which I keep mentioning, which is photos that her brother took. I imagine that she was doing this for the album cover and getting tired and rubbing her eyes. I love how natural this is. I love that sense of her, how relaxed the dogs look. It is a really beautiful photo. These smudges are supposed to be like the water. And it's that moment of surrender. The lyrics I chose, take your shoes off and throw them in the lake. Of course, I mean, that can be shown, sort of read both ways, can't it? Because in the song itself, there's the idea that she's taking her shoes off so that the hounds can't, she goes through the water so the hounds can't follow her scent. So actually she's trying to escape the hounds of love at that point. But I was also thinking, as I've said before, how these cards are, you know, I'm making them for myself, and I'm trying to find lyrics that I can reflect on. And it's that idea of the Knight of Cups, of that moment of surrender, or that moment of, you know, there is that movement there, or that decision that we associate with the Knight, you know, stepping in, or maybe surrendering. And I feel like this photo, you know, are the hounds, I suppose, it's the Knight of Cups, Kate Bush in this scenario, or is it the hounds themselves? I suppose the Knight of Cups could be the hounds. You could interpret it that way. The video, I could have chosen a photo from the video, but I didn't, because the video itself, and I will link that as well, the video is based on a Hitchcock film, 39 Steps, I think, which I haven't seen. I think it's like a spy movie. And it's got that lovely kind of old sort of black and white feel to it. But it is, what was I going to say? It's got that romantic old film idea to it, which I think is, you know, ties in with the Knight of Cups. But it adds a different layer, which I didn't feel, and about the spy element and stuff, which I didn't really feel fitted with the Knight of Cups. And this was one of my favourite photos. So that's also why I chose it. And I liked, you know, I think ideally I started to think, oh, I want one with the knights moving, because I always associate, you know, knights are on horses, they're moving. But this is the moment of surrender, actually, isn't it? In this song, is when you stop moving and you allow yourself to fall in love. The movement has happened internally, if you like. Right, so I enjoyed putting this set together. I think I'm almost at the halfway mark with these cards. And I think what I'm going to do is just do, you know, in a few weeks or so, I will do a flip through of all of the cards that I've made so far, and maybe talk a little bit about, you know, what I've enjoyed, what I found hard, what unexpected sort of associations I've found. Yeah, so thanks as always for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.